S. Chan presents educational video lectures as per the new UGC curriculum. Difficult concepts made easy. Study anywhere, anytime.
Monopolistic competition, one of the most important market structures. What exactly it is, how it is figuring out its own equilibrium. Welcome to S. Chand Academy. I am Suman. We'll now understand that how this monopolistic competition is working, since we have learned in the last class that what exactly is monopolistic competition, how it is taking care of both monopoly and perfect competition at the same time. It is very important to find out that how the price and output equilibrium are established within this. Let's just understand this. If you want to get more information on these topics, please refer to the book by S. Chand Publishing. The description for the ebook is given in the link below. So what is price output equilibrium? Under monopolistic competitions, organizations need to make the optimum adjustments in the prices. So what exactly is optimum adjustment? When the seller is there, because there are multiple sellers of the single product or maybe different products, because that is a quality of monopolistic competition, there needs to be done optimum adjustment of what? Of the resources. Apart from this, under monopolistic competition, organizations need to pay attention to what kind of competition is there in the market and how the consumers are reacting to their changes. Moreover, an organization under monopolistic competition is not only required to study individual behaviors but the market behaviors at the same time. So, group equilibrium क्या होता है? How exactly is the equilibrium established where both the sellers and the consumers are satisfied? We need to figure out that while determining the price output equilibrium. What happens in this particular structure? We know that everyone, obviously consumer को भी अपना profit बढ़ाना है, but यहाँ पे point क्या है कि sellers को अपना profit maximize करना है. And that is obviously as a seller आपका क्या aim है कि मुझे अपना profit always maximum रखना है. अब वो maximum profit के लिए आप exactly क्या करोगे? The price determined at this point is known as the equilibrium point. At what point? Where your profits are maximized and your marginal revenue is equal to the marginal cost. So whatever is the additional revenue and whatever is the additional cost for producing one additional unit, they should be equal. Because the moment marginal cost increases, what will happen? You will start going into losses. तो ये बहुत important चीज़ है पता रखना कि कहाँ आपका marginal revenue और आपका marginal cost equal है. क्या किसी point के बाद marginal cost बढ़ रहा है? Because till the point marginal revenue is more, you are in win-win situation. आप तो profit में हो. But अगर कोई situation है जहाँ पे आप loss में जाने वाले हो या आप actually shutdown point में जाने वाले हो, तो आप क्या करोगे? Because right now you are in the competition. So what will happen? You will figure out कि equilibrium output क्या है. Equilibrium output कहाँ आएगा? जहाँ आपका marginal revenue और marginal cost will be equal. And if the marginal revenue of the seller is greater than marginal cost, I told you that he or she will expand the business. Simple. आपका revenue तो cost से ज़्यादा है, जब तक ज़्यादा है आपके लिए beneficial है. But if the cost increases, the reverse happens. What will happen? You will start thinking over your business कि मुझे कहाँ तक उसको stop करना है, कहाँ पे रोकना है अपना business. That is very important. Now, when we talk about short run, again I told you that short run is a time frame within 1 year. Every market structure will perform first of all in the short run and only beyond a point it will go to the long run. Long run में पहुंचने के लिए आपको short run में survive करना ज़रूरी है. And when you are able to achieve your equilibrium, that is MR is equal to MC, you will be doing that first of all in the short run time frame. If you are able to do that within that thing, then only you will move on to the next level, that is the long run. So the short run equilibrium of a monopolist competitive organization is the same that of the organization under monopoly. What happens is, आप एक monopoly में या monopolistic competition में क्या देखोगे? Short run में they will be the price maker. So even after making the price, they need to have one such point where both their marginal revenue and marginal cost are matching up. So what is happening? Organization under monopolistic competition attains its equilibrium when it is able to match its marginal revenue with the marginal cost. Let's just throw some light on the graph. You can clearly see यहाँ पे कुछ चीज़ें हैं जो आपके लिए familiar है because we have been studying these since past lectures. But यहाँ cost और revenue बहुत important है. Same as with the output. What you need to figure out is the profit. Profit का region कहाँ है? We know that the short run marginal cost and short run average cost, both of them are U-shaped and they will cut the marginal revenue and average revenue curve from bottom. ये हमेशा ये this is something which needs to be actually understood and learned throughout, that cost will always cut revenue from bottom. Reason, पहले cost आपका कम है but due to law of diminishing marginal utility it will automatically start rising. But आपको क्या region चाहिए? आपको वो region चाहिए जहाँ पे MR और MC should be equal. Equal as in they should cut each other. But at the same time आपको तो एक profit का region चाहिए. Profit will not, production आपका AR से ऊपर नहीं जाएगा, average revenue से ऊपर. Reason, because you will start having, आपका budget नहीं है, आप इसके नीचे ही produce कर सकते हो. तो आपने क्या देखा, इस particular region में जहाँ MR, MC, AR, AC, everything is matching up, they are intersecting with each other, that particular region will determine your profit zone. So in this particular thing, you can say that for this much output, you are having this much price. But profit ये पूरा नहीं है. AR के नीचे पूरा zone आपका profit नहीं है. Profit कहाँ तक exist कर रहा है? Till the point MR is equal to MC. Marginal revenue is equal to marginal cost. So this thing needs to be kept in mind throughout कि आपका profit region क्या है. And if you can recall, it is somehow similar to the situation under monopoly as well. And what is happening? Why monopoly के साथ same है? क्योंकि कहीं ना कहीं आपका ये जो zone है वो short run है और ज़्यादा vary नहीं करेगा with the monopolistic competition. Further, you can see this is the entire explanation of the graph that you have studied. AR is the average revenue curve and marginal revenue is represented by MR, and it can be entire interpretation should be like that the organization is earning supernormal profit because it is below the AR zone somewhere or the other. It is having a situation where till the maximum time it can enjoy the zone of profit. And the supernormal profit per unit of output will be the difference between the average revenue and average cost and marginal revenue and marginal cost respectively. So what is happening, if you see this particular zone जहाँ पे आपका P dash T dash है, this is your supernormal profit somewhere or the other. Reason being, इन दोनों situations में आपका average revenue and marginal revenue both are more than the average cost and the marginal cost respectively. Apart from that, if you move ahead, there is this price output equilibrium again in the monopolistic competition, but here you can see that the organization is starting to have some kind of losses. क्यों loss में अब जा रहा है? आप clearly graph से देख सकते हो. The region of the supernormal profit has started getting reduced. अब यहाँ क्या हो गया है? Simple situation. Cost आपका दोनों revenue से ऊपर चला गया है. The moment cost start rising, the moment situation वही है. Cost अभी भी MR और AR को it is cutting from below. But if you see the shortened average cost curve, what is average cost? Average cost is the per unit cost. it has risen both by the AR or the MR. So what is happening? The moment it is rising, क्योंकि cost आपका बढ़ गया है, बहुत easy है, cost बढ़ते ही आपके पास losses का zone शुरू हो गया है. But still you are struggling into this situation. Why? Because you are able to see कि मेरा situation ऐसा है that I can sustain for let's say a month or a year depending on the savings that you have. और आप ये कोशिश करोगे कि क्या मैं ये situation overcome कर लूँ? If not, then you will start moving on to the shutdown zone जहाँ आपको अपने firm को कहीं ना कहीं stop करना पड़ेगा. So what is happening? हमारे लिए कहीं ना कहीं condition of loss जो है that has started, and in the short run under monopolistic competition, if you see this particular diagram, this zone is the zone of loss because short run average cost curve has surpassed the average revenue and marginal revenue. So we'll go for a short break, but before going to the break, what exactly we have learned is that how the short run equilibrium is working, how the price and output determination is done within that short term, and which is helping the firm further for establishing the long run equilibrium. We'll resume after the short break, and after that we'll learn about the long run equilibrium.
Now quality learning is easily available at your doorstep. S. Chand Academy brings detailed lectures based on UGC curriculum as per the New Education Policy 2020. So do not forget to subscribe to the S. Chand Academy and access the wide world of knowledge conveniently sitting within the comfort of your home. Stay connected and keep watching S. Chand Academy. Happy learning!
Welcome back to S. Chand Academy. Before going on to the break, we have learned about what exactly is short run and how it is impacting the equilibrium under the monopolistic competition. But in the similar manner, the long run is equally important. And this long run is going to establish whether the firm is going to be there in the organization or not. Whether this particular industry is going to stay in the market and whether the firms under that industry are going to stay in the long run or not. So let's just understand that how the short run is differing from the long run, how we are establishing the equilibrium in the long run, where we are able to find out that how monopolistic competition is working. So what exactly is long run price output equilibrium? In the long run, there is a gradual decrease in the profits of the organization, which is quite obvious because आप long run में आप क्या देखोगे? Law of diminishing marginal utility has started working. So what is happening? In the long run, several new organizations are entering in the market, which is allowed since it is monopolistic competition. And when these new organizations start production, the supply would start increasing. अब new firms आ रहे हैं, वो अपना start कर रहे हैं, increase production कर रहे हैं, तो क्या होगा? Supply increase होगी. अब उस supply को आपको balance करना है with what? With the demand in the market. Now the point over here is कि आपको demand in the market तो देखना है. At the same time, you need to see that what should be your profit, and this will automatically increase the level of competition. How come? Because when supply is increased, you need to somehow manage your prices. Manage your prices का मतलब ये है, it is always not like that आपको price reduce ही करना है in order to make yourself convenient in the industry. In order to sustain in the industry, you can increase also. If you are providing a good quality, you have a good market reputation, then automatically you can have the similar price or maybe marginal increase if you want to increase the profit. But since the profit is shared by the entire industry and there is a huge competition, one needs to understand that since the demand is still stagnant and supply have increased, कहीं ना कहीं आपको price को moderate करना पड़ेगा. Once the price is being moderated, maybe with time your demand will also increase, maybe with some festive season or maybe some other situation, the demand might impact. And if the demand gets impacted, your price will automatically get into flow likewise, and your supply will come into track and everything will be balanced to come to an equilibrium point. But first of all, इनिशियल जब आप लॉन्ग रन में एंटर करते हो आपको इतना पता है, फर्म्स आर मोर, सप्लाई इज मोर, हेंस द प्राइस नीड्स टू बी रिड्यूस्ड इन ऑर्डर टू सस्टेन इन द कॉम्पिटिशन. व्हाट हैपन्स नेक्स्ट? जब आप शॉर्ट रन इक्विलिब्रियम की बात करते हो, दैट इज मोर कॉम्प्लिकेटेड सिंस द टाइम फ्रेम इज सो शॉर्ट that you are unable to adjust yourself. But when we say there is long run में आपका average revenue, marginal revenue and your demand, everything becomes more elastic. What is elasticity? The responsiveness of demand towards price. So when the elasticity exists, what will happen? Automatically आपके लिए adjustment easy हो जाएगा market में. So what happens? There is no such region of profit or loss per se because you are not covering up the entire region. You are figuring out कि आपका long run average cost and long run average revenue, where they are intersecting or where they are meeting up. Conditions will remain the same. Automatically cost आपका will cut MR and AR as it is, since it is happening in all the market structures. Average cost here is the per unit cost, and per unit cost is actually equating average revenue. So one needs to know that when these two are equal, that is average revenue and average cost, in the long run, it will be able to establish the equilibrium over here. So what is happening? This particular price OP dash and this quantity OM are the equilibrium quantity or equilibrium output at the equilibrium price. So this is very important to know that when we are having this entire situation, that is the long run average cost, long run marginal cost and average revenue and marginal revenue, there is no such region of determining the profit, but there is a point of equilibrium where the average cost and average revenue are meeting each other. So long run price output equilibrium are determined at the price OP dash at the quantity OM, keeping in mind that the equilibrium is being established where the long run average cost and the average revenue curve are meeting each other. At the same time, the long run marginal cost is cutting both of them from below. And why that is happening? Because the cost is initially falling, but with law of diminishing marginal utility, the costs start increasing because the utility derived from each additional unit is somehow getting reduced. So that is applicable everywhere throughout, because this law is the one which is responsible for making the entire equilibrium established, how it is responding, how the cost is responding, how the revenue is responding. Some way or the other, these are related with each other. Now, if I say that the long run price output equilibrium under perfect competition is also there, we all know that in perfect competition, again, we have to determine the equilibrium price as well as equilibrium quantity. At the same time, the same thing happens in monopoly. And in the monopolistic competition, which is a moderate zone, which takes into consideration both monopoly and perfect competition, we need to have again the establishment of equilibrium. But are these two different? How these are different? Let's just understand. Price is greater than marginal cost under monopolistic competition. This is very important to understand that ये जो price है, that is the part of revenue. Revenue is always greater than marginal cost. Monopolistic competition में there is no perfect competition and there is no such adjustment possible by the firms. So you don't have any chance to save yourself in a long run. You need to make sure that मुझे equilibrium कहाँ establish करना है, और equilibrium establish कहाँ होगा जब price आपका marginal cost से ज़्यादा है. So if you see graphically also, you will find out that when the marginal cost or the average cost for that matter is more than the revenue, what is happening? Ultimately कहीं ना कहीं आपका जो zone है profit का या loss का वो बढ़ जाता है. So if the cost is rising, or you can say if the revenue is less or the price is less than the cost, then ultimately there is a zone which is called the losses. And that should not be the case in monopolistic competition, but that might happen in the perfect competition, because in perfect competition the adjustments are possible. So how this price is performing and the cost is performing, that needs to be checked. Then the long run equilibrium under monopolistic competition is established at less than optimum size. What is this optimum size? When we say that there is this optimum size of the firm, that means that every resource is put across, and that is put across in a way in which all are equally utilized, because resources are scarce and they have the limitations. So when I know that every resource is equally responsible for the production and they are scarce, I need to figure out what is the optimum size. So if there is this less than optimum size, then long run equilibrium will be established, but by having huge competition amongst the competitors. But no such concept is there while talking about perfect competition, because in perfect competition, the optimum size is already achieved. No firm will enter or exit unless and until knowing about the fact कि optimum size market में already exist करता है. So optimum size of the firm is very much required. Apart from this, price under monopolistic competition is greater than the competitive price. Monopolistic competition, I know that it is somewhere similar to monopoly as well. So competitive price is something which is set in the market. Competitive price से price ज़्यादा रख सकता है एक seller in the monopolistic competition. That is not at all possible in perfect competition, because in perfect competition the seller is price taker. He is never the price maker. But in monopolistic competition, there is a few chance where the firm is influencing the decision making of the entire cartel, which we discussed in the last class, that in the cartel, the monopolist or the monopolistic competitions per se can have a right on the price making or price making decision. So what is happening? It is always greater than the competitive price, and it might have more profit for the monopolistic firm. But it is not the case in the perfect competition. And lastly, excess capacity and other wastage of competition under monopolistic competition exist. Excess capacity क्या है? Excess capacity will exist in monopolistic competition, since there can be a huge zone of profit, a huge zone of loss. But excess capacity जैसी कोई चीज़ exist नहीं करती in perfect competition. Excess capacity in that situation is where the firm is working beyond its own capacity. So if you are underperforming and you have some extra resources, or that means what? आप और ज़्यादा perform कर सकते हो. That particular thing is excess capacity, which is not possible in perfect competition, because in perfect competition already the firms are working into full capacity zone. So by now we have been able to establish the equilibrium in the long run as well. We just have understood that how this long run average cost curve is determining the equilibrium if it is equating with the average revenue by intersecting it. The moment long run average cost curve goes beyond or goes above the average revenue curve, the firm will start considering its stay within the industry. So it is very much important to equate average revenue with the average cost curve. The moment they differ with each other, the equilibrium will start actually getting disbalanced. So this is how we achieve at the equilibrium, and this is what we have learned in this video. Thank you so much. If you want to get more information on these topics, please refer to the book by S. Chand Publishing. The description for the ebook is given in the link below. If you found the video interesting, please like, share and subscribe. And don't forget to press the bell icon for further notifications. Stay connected.
All rights reserved. This video has been prepared for educational purposes only. No part of it may be reproduced or copied without the permission of the copyright holder.